guy alone inside. He's got the breakaway with the touch to the right. Goal! Everything you wanted from this debut. It's Brandon By. Taking a shot with the left. Goal! Isaac Frank from 25 yards out. The equalizer. Will Kidd with the touch of the goal. It's a go-ahead goal. Minneapolis City.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
Hey, what's up, Minneapolis and people of the world? This is the People's Pitch Podcast. I am your host, Nate Morales. I am joined, as always, by my shining star of a co-host, John Bisworm. John, did you have to eat any human people this weekend, stranded in the snowstorm, as if you were a member of some South American soccer team trapped in the Andes?
I was wondering where you were going to go with that. As usual, throw me off my game with your intro. No, I did not eat any humans this past weekend. I did. I do have some pretty rockin' biceps from all the shoveling I did.
Oh my God! Yes.
Feel like I'm doing the prison workout.
You are the chain gang.
Just all the glory muscles.
Yep, the glory muscles.
Yeah, the winter workout is.
We think glory muscles means the same thing.
No, it's the glory muscle. The glory muscles are anything but legs, like the Jersey Shore.
All the show off stuff.
Yeah. So you're that inverted triangle, a big upper body on very tiny stick legs.
Nice. Well, John, it's the snowstorm kind of threw us off our game, but we were able to recover and pull together a pretty sweet show. It's got a little of everything. Of course, Mother Nature has exterminated more than just our content for a week. It's exterminated this Bugeaters match. A familiar face has signed with Minneapolis City. And speaking of signings, our resident content generator, Bryn, has another question for us to cover. We've got more from 55-1 this week, and nothing about FC Minneapolis. And there's probably going to be some other stuff we're going to get ranting on. Let's get this party started.
I would not say that there's nothing about FC Minneapolis that's going to be covered today, but not what everyone expects, maybe.
Very little. Yes. Yeah. So, shocking news, John, but 3 feet of snow in the last 3 weeks has had an effect on playing services all around the city. So, the city of Minneapolis has canceled all field reservations, and that means that Minneapolis City's friendly against the Bugeaters at the parade ground this Saturday was done. Probably for the best, or we would have had to snow blow that bitch clear, huh?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because for those connected to our Segments affiliate, about 5 years ago, we used to have a preseason tournament called the SOB Cup, and that was for the Stegman's old boys. So not sons of bitches, but you mean whatever you want. We can definitely be sons of bitches sometimes. But so it's usually the preseason tournament. It kicks off like a week or two, sometimes 3 weeks before the MASL and the MRSL seasons begin. And we usually would get like around 6 teams, nice event. We had beer sponsors. Everyone's having a good time. Well, like I said, five or so years ago, maybe 6 years ago now, we got a similar snowstorm, and it hit us on a Thursday. So games being on Saturday night, us being the smart guys we are, kind of threw out the old bulletin that everyone should bring a shovel and meet at McMurray as soon as they can get there. So a couple of us got there early, and if you think you can shovel a soccer field in 24 hours, even with manpower, like a full soccer team, you're fucking crazy. We shoveled for about 2 hours, and we had cleared off end line to end line, and then maybe to one 18-yard box.
That's all you got through.
Yeah. So then we're like, okay, well, why don't we pull out the snowblowers? So those of us who lived close to McMurray ran home. A couple guys hop in the car, help you lift the snowblower into the back. And we had 3 snowblowers going, and we were able to get 75% of the field complete before it hit like 4 a.m. So the next morning is supposed to be in the low 50s, much like it is supposed to be today and tomorrow. And long story short was there was a car that had its lights, like its exterior lights off, but its interior lights on. That was kind of off in the distance the whole night we were there. Turns out a police officer didn't necessarily do anything that night, but as we had just finished, because we told all the teams in the tournament, bring a shovel so we can play this thing.
Yeah.
And everyone shows up 2 hours early before the first game, whether you're playing or not, and we started clearing it off. 2 minutes before we're about ready to start and teams are warming up, the St. Paul Parks and Recs, along with a police officer, come rolling down and threaten to throw us all in jail if we continue to play.
What?
Because
Why?
we violated our rental agreement that said no removal of snow.
Shut up.
Then we were told that we ruined the turf, which is not great turf anyways, that we had ruined the turf by using by clearing the snow off, and that they would potentially be facing legal action. So I went home like most of us did. I come back the next day, a few hours later, and just I wanted to take some. The sun had come out and the snow started to melt, so I wanted to take some pictures of the turf to show that we didn't ruin anything.
Yeah.
And guess what they did? They re-rented our time. They didn't give us a refund, and they re-rented our time to a lacrosse team. So all the time we were supposed to be there when after getting kicked off, they double booked it. Yeah, that quickly. They double booked it, and there was a lacrosse team on it within 2 hours. So we had a little bit of a ban from McMurray for a while as an organization, but now we're back. We served our time, and definitely something we didn't want to do to Parade Stadium. We definitely know what to do, but we just weren't allowed to do it. So so that stinks. But whatever.
I mean, I think
it is what it is.
Thankfully, the front office, you guys were working fast and furious to reschedule this thing, and within a day of the announcement, we are back on with the Bugeaters, June 24th at Osseo High School Field, who apparently are just giving us the run of the place, like whenever we want it.
They're great to work with. I definitely have to say that. They have been awesome. Not to say that, folks at Minneapolis South or Augsburg that we've played at in the past haven't been awesome, but these guys, they want us to be there, and they'll do anything they can to help us out. And we're actually, to add on to what you said, we're going to flip the return leg with our U23s. Are actually going down there on the 19th of next month. So 1 month from today, the U23s will be going to Nebraska to face the Bugeaters. So it was supposed to be flip-flop where at the end of the summer, the 23s will be going to Nebraska. Instead, that's what they're going to be coming here, and vice versa. So we'll have our inaugural first match for the U23s will be against the Bugeaters 1 month from today in Lincoln, Nebraska. That's
exciting. How are we going to swing that? Just to go off on a little tangent, when a lot of these dudes are still in high school.
Well, it's not going to be on a weekday, Nate.
Oh yeah, weekend trip. I guess there'll be a long drive back for these guys, but whatever.
It's not going to be there and back in the same day. There'll be an overnight stay, which it was going to be anyways. So
I suppose
we're currently in the process of working through what guys from our roster can go, and then we'll supplement that roster with some of the guys that fit within the under 23 category from the that are in town from the MPSL roster. So you may also see us bring maybe one or two players that we have kind of had in as like training guys or trial guys that are looking to break in with our organization. They've all been great guys to work with, and they've been putting in good work helping us fill out training numbers until some of the college guys gets back. You might see some of those guys getting a chance to go down and dress and play in that match too. So yeah, a little bit of breaking news there, but we just finalized that literally yesterday. So now is the process of me working with Matt and Adam and Matt's assistant Ryan to get a roster together of and then see who we can bring down or bring over.
So the cancellation's a bummer, personally, because I was all ready to talk about the Bugeaters players after they announced their roster this week.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did.
I mean, it's really just a list of names. I was looking at whatever the Lincoln, Nebraska paper site was. Where are these guys from? The Journal Star, the Lincoln Journal Star, who had all this info. And it looks like the Bugeaters are drawing quite heavily from Hastings College. I guess their technical director is the head coach of the Hastings team. And so that is like 10 players from our own ex-Crow or Crow Nick Hines' alma mater, correct?
Correct. And actually, fun fact about Nick is he actually may be eligible to play in that game in Nebraska because that day is graduation.
Oh, sweet. So he'll be around.
So he'll be around. I still have to connect with him to see if it's something he'd be interested in doing, but he'll be in town in Lincoln. So perhaps
I don't know, on graduation day, maybe he'll have time.
I mean, you remember your college graduation, right? Like, really? Like, wouldn't you rather have been playing soccer?
I guess my parents would have been fucking pissed.
Yeah, mine would have too. I mean, my dad would have got it. My mom would have been a little mad. But yeah, I mean, they draw. I mean, it's a great soccer school.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it in the past. So I would expect. I expected nothing less. Even when we talked to Jonathan when he was on the pod, that they were gonna potentially be leaning heavily on that school. But I mean, there's other schools that they have too as well.
Yeah, so this group from Hastings though is highlighted by some guy named Daniel Whitehall, according to the Journal Star of Lincoln.
Yes, he's a good player.
Yeah, he's a 3 times Great Plains Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Year and the 2016 NAIA National Player of the Year. In that year when Hastings won the national title. This dude has also played for Chattanooga, so that's a pretty good signing for the Bugeaters. This guy has to be their linchpin, their star.
He is basically, I believe, a blonde-haired version of Kyle Farrar. He's a British kid, good striker. I watched quite a few of their games once Nick joined up with us, and got a chance to see him play in 2016, and he's legit. He can find the back of the net, so they definitely have a good one there. But I don't understand. No slight to the Bugeaters at all, but why, unless Chattanooga chose not to bring him back, that he wouldn't have stayed with a team like Chattanooga, who has more of a higher profile. But
yeah,
maybe he's got deeper roots in Nebraska and wanted to come home, which we know our guides do. So
maybe he's got a lady friend.
Maybe,
or a man friend. Who knows?
Yeah, a significant other. Yeah, significant other. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, but anyways, yeah. So yeah, he's a great signing for them, and definitely will bag some goals.
So 20 other players on that roster are hailing from NAIA and D1 schools like Concordia, Nebraska Wesleyan, Iowa Western Community College. Not a lot of big names there. Of course, the Nebraska, the UNL club team, which is probably similar to the U of M club team.
They also have two guys from Creighton, actually.
I saw that. A couple guys from Creighton. We'd asked him about that, if they're pulling from Creighton, and he was a little coy. And it's just a couple dudes, so not greatly, but Creighton's a good program. So
yeah,
these guys have
might have heard of it before.
Yeah, these guys have solid club experience throughout that region, and some of them have even played in Iceland. So there could be some talent there. We're gonna get a much more polished team in June. The U23s will see a much more polished team next month. Than we would have had this weekend, but it sounds like these guys would have been competing no matter what. What is it you always say about the NAIA quality, John?
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know. I remember a couple times we were talking about it, and I'm like, really? Why are we pulling guys from these schools, or who really cares about these NAIA tiny schools? And I think you have asserted in the past that they're just as competitive as some of the D3 and D1 schools we pull from.
Well, it's got a different set of rules. There's still like guidelines, they have to have a governing body like the NCAA, but the rules are just a little bit different. But the NAIA schools, you find more foreign-based players who maybe had a little more difficult time getting into a college because of, whether it's, not to say all foreign people are bad at school. I don't want anyone to think that. A lot of native-born Americans aren't good at
paint the world with a broad brush stroke and say everyone out there is dumb.
I'm not doing that, but the different. From going to school, like credits transferring and things along those lines.
Yeah, there's visas to worry about and all that shit.
Yeah, so that's the reason why you see a lot more foreign-based players playing in NAI or even in like Division 3 with you see up in Duluth with Scholastica. So so yeah, I mean they just draw a different type of player, but they're usually fantastic players. So some of the top NAI schools would definitely compete against the best programs in Division 1 and Division 2 and Division 3 in NCAA. So it's not like it's a step down. It's just a different route.
I mean, I get it. I think one of the things, and we'll talk about it in a second, is that I kind of want to wonder why these British guys and why they're pulling some of these international players, or how they're pulling some of these international players to the smaller schools, and why some of maybe our more big name universities aren't. But we'll see.
Sure. So, anyways, to wrap that up and move on, with all that's happened this week, we cannot lose sight of the fact that we introduced another member of the Murder Nate, and that is the official signing of a familiar name and face around our club, Mr. Nick Hutton.
Yes. This guy is so fast, John. He's like a deer.
He does run like a deer. It's almost like he's running on top of grass and not on the ground.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing the wind resistance this guy eliminates just by moving through the world. Nick, I had the pleasure of witnessing his game-winning goal when we were in Aurora at the Borealis. I think before the game, I even predicted Nick Hutton is scoring today. This guy is lean. He is mean. He is fast as hell, and he is hungry for the ball. And I think he's always looking for it. He also scored the game tying goal at the opening friendly last year against U of M. Is that true?
He did. It's on the internet, so it must have happened.
It happened.
But fun fact, Hut is actually a twin. His brother is in the service, and I believe he is in special forces of some sort. But I do believe if we told you the details, we would likely have to kill you. And although we like most of you, we'll just kind of leave it at that. But Nick, it was a standout player for Apple Valley growing up, and then forewent soccer as a focus in college and accepted a full track scholarship for the U of M. So the funny thing about Nick connected to track is, so we have our winter combine, right, where we kind of broaden our net we bring in the college players. And this year we had, I think, like 50 different players that came in on top of the players that we already had on the roster identified. So we had a large group of guys. So you had the mix of like people gravitate towards the guy they went to school with. So they like kind of know a guy here and there, or a guy they played club with, or, some of the OG guys from City and Stegmans are, kind of kicking a ball around before training starts. And so I was just kind of standing around talking to a few guys, and this guy who didn't end up latching on with us was trying to, do the right thing and like meet people. So he like wanders over to Nick, and Nick's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, good. And they're talking through stuff. And the kid goes, "So what school do you play for?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm graduated." And he's like, "Oh, well, where did you play?" And he's like, I didn't play college soccer." And he's like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I ran track." And then they immediately like take off for a lap, and he just takes off, just burns past his kid. And the look on the kid's face is like, "What the hell did I get into?" It was like the Willie Mays Hayes of Major League, where he's like, just this track star no one knows anything about, and this kid's like, "What the hell am I doing here?" Needless to say, then later on, Nick got the ball and ran just directly past this kid, like he was a turnstile. So there you go.
That kid didn't make the team.
No, didn't make the team. But anyways, more about Nick. Before joining City full time in the Open Cup cycle this last year, he was what you might call a men's league beast, leading Stegman 77 for 2 seasons in goal scoring, back to back, and then being named Club Golden Boot winner along with MASL Division 1 Stegman of the Year for his efforts with 77s. He isn't. It isn't a surprise, as we've noted, that when I tell you that he has pace, but he's mostly deployed on a wing or up top, and has a terrier-like work ethic on both sides of the ball. So, he's always gonna fight you for it, and he has the some trickery in a 1v1 setting, not just speed, and he can finish with both feet, and has that never quit attitude, and will always fight you, which I think is something that will do him very well in our division. You already mentioned that he scored the game winner in this year's Open Cup against Aurora Borealis. And actually, we found out later, it was on the same day that he found he was going to be a dad for the first time.
That's amazing.
As he and his wife were set to expect their first little girl this summer.
We knew it was his first goal as a married man.
Yeah,
we didn't know it was even that more significant.
Right, exactly. So happy for those guys, for him and his wife, and we'll have another mini member of the murder this summer as they're expecting their first daughter. So, but anyway, super happy to have him. He's a great guy, and definitely a guy that I think fits in well with the style of play in the division.
Yeah, I really envision Nick being super effective coming in off the bench. Later in the game, being able to just destroy with his speed when legs are getting a little tired, when feet are getting a little heavy. I think, like you said, real terrier-like work ethic, just dogged on the ball, very, very attack-minded. It's going to be cool to watch. He's a cool to watch player.
A cool to watch player.
Yeah. Hey, I'm drinking beer.
It's almost like you write for a living.
I told you, I'm burned out.
You need a vacation from work, man.
I need one. I need something. Another beer.
It's definitely not Summit or Old Granddad.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've got another submission in the mailbag, John.
We need like a soundbite that we play here.
I know. Mailbag.
What
was the Letterman one? Letters.
I think it's more of like a you've got mail, like a AOL.
And stacks of letters. Yeah, we get a single email a week. Bryn writing us this week, our very own content manager. I like how you described that. That's good. He's got a couple questions that are not only topical, speaking of the signing of Hutt, but also with his mess with FC Minneapolis. So Bryn asks, first of all, he says, absolute insanity when it comes to FC Minneapolis. It's funny because in the last email, he was almost praising FC Minneapolis, and now that's turned on its ass. He says, I had some idea, but nowhere near to understanding the full picture. Them claiming to be professional when they clearly aren't did get me thinking, though. He is probably overthinking it, but how is it possible if someone saw on Twitter that Minneapolis City SC signed a player, or is it possible that if they see Minneapolis City signed a player, they might potentially think the club is professional? So when we as an amateur team announce a player signing, what does that mean exactly? That's what he wants to know. Is it largely symbolic, just a way to say that they're on the roster, or does the player actually sign something with their hand, like a memorandum of understanding or an agreement stating that for the summer they'll only play with Minneapolis City or an affiliate, yada yada? I think these are all good questions. And I really, what is this? There is a formal process. We do say we sign guys, and I do know they have a commitment to the club, but why don't you break it down for us a little more?
Sure. So our formal process of signing a player is actually rather simple. In year one, we wanted to draw up an agreement that was both compliant by NCAA and NAIA standards for our college players, but also one that outlines our expectations of kind of what it means to be part of the club, both on and off the field. So players you can ask any of our players, current and former, that this by no means is a signed contract that's legally binding or putting them in a status that would get anyone in jeopardy of losing eligibility in school. First and foremost, we outline, as noted, what it means to be part of the club. So, like conducting yourself professionally, turning up on time, we reserve the right to, discipline players if they don't follow the rules that we set out for them. And as you know, we're very active in the community. So we also have in our agreement that they participate in a minimum of 3 community service events. Things like Pride Fest, YMCA soccer programs, Big Brothers Big Sisters, to kind of name a few. These are the types of events that our players are expected to be at and represent themselves as an ambassador of the club. And so far, it's been great. We've heard nothing but good things. Even like our small clinics we do. So outside of that, it is in fact that they if they do choose to move on, the agreement is voided, and both parties kind of high five, shake hands, and go on their separate ways. And that could be anything down to a club decision or an injury or failure to live up to the commitment level that we have there, or guys like Miles recently, and then Brandon By from last year, the opportunity to further their soccer career, which we've talked about at length, is something that we advocate for our players.
So it is really, when we say we were signing these players, it really is, we're signing them. They're making a commitment to the team, but also I'm sure there's paperwork to be done, and
right, like the league,
sign up to play for the league. Right,
like that stuff is part of it too. But just like you would with any formal partnership, you have to have something documented, right? And it just is better for both sides where there's a paper trail, so that if you do have to move on, or there's an impasse of a decision making, or a decision that needs to be made. So, for example, if we say you have to make it to 2 trainings a week, and we have to make a decision on who's going to make an 18-man roster for a game, and we have a fantastic player who's come once a week or missed 2 trainings that week, and then we have a guy who is really working hard and pushing for it and is there all the time, the commitment that they agreed on is a good way for us to kind of use as our North Star. So it's a level setting for everyone. So it's just better to have that fair. Because then you don't have like the Wild West of like, well, we're playing favorites because we're going to start these guys because they're just really good at soccer. We're now beyond that would kind of happen in the infancy of a club like ours, where you have to lean on that, or at least, like not lean on that, but like go for just throwing the best 11 out there, because we have such of a wealth of talent. And now having the 23s, we have the ability to hold our NPSL players even more accountable for what they agreed on. And the U23s and the NPSL players, they all fill out the exact same paperwork. And that is also so that if we were to have any player movement, like I just mentioned, that we could easily connect in through the league with the information we've gathered from the players. And then that's more of a seamless transition, rather than having to try to hunt down, a guy's passport photo and all of his information. So that's kind of why we have this formal signing process. It's like I said, it's not a formal contract. There's nothing exchanged besides just agreement to commit to what we've asked them to commit to.
So you're saying for a club like ours, this signing process allows us to hold our players accountable, hold them to a higher standard, while other clubs might make exceptions to what they expect out of their players if maybe they're playing a crosstown rival that week.
I see where you're getting at this. Yes, that has definitely come up in recent history, where some opponents of ours have fielded different sides because they wanted to just beat us, and that's not something that we actually. It's not what we emphasize. So that's part of another reason why we have this kind of formal process.
We're the good guys.
Yeah. Yep.
So
the club that loves to give back.
That leads into this final part of the question. In addition, Bryn wrote last week on our most recent pod, John, said that Minneapolis City signed off on the transfer of Miles Stockman-Willis to Vrigstad IF. So, like you said, since players don't really sign a contract, and if one or the other decides to just kind of move on, the agreement is voided. What did that transfer entail?
Like I said before, it's a pretty simple process, honestly. Since we have registered players with our league officially, and if they're chosen to participate in our team that is fielded for the U.S. Open Cup, they're actually registered with the USSF under our banner. So in order for them to move to a different team, we must agree to the termination of that player being part of our organization, and then they can move to their new home.
Okay.
So in the case of Miles, it's pretty simple as yes, you can move type conversation to create the necessary paper trail. And then he was off to his next step in his soccer career without question. And as you know, we talked about it multiple times. We take rules very seriously. If we don't follow, the proper steps, for instance, in like Miles' case, there could be serious ramifications for his future if he is affiliated with 2 official footballing associations, and that could hinder him from like a work permit standpoint in a foreign country, or in some cases void the payment structure for his club that he signed for. So we have to like make sure that we're really following that, and it's not necessarily because we're trying to be jerks about things, but we really have to do what's best by the player, and make sure that we're going through all the necessary steps so that we don't run into any issues. Because how awful would it be if like we didn't do that, and like in like a month, Miles has to come back from Sweden because it all fell apart because we just didn't have a conversation officially releasing him to his new club.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I take it very serious in my role that we're making sure that the best interest of the player is definitely there, and we're going through the right steps.
Well, there you have it, folks. A little peek under the hood, a little peek into the front office goings-on of Minneapolis City and what it's like to run a semi-professional sporting club.
Professionally amateur.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
So this week, Nate, 55-1 came out with another bombshell. Their NPSL North Players to Watch feature. So let's chat about that and who they chose from City to keep an eye on. So the first guy, you might call him the cover boy of the story.
He was.
He was literally. I love it when 55-1 uses imagery to cover the North Conference because 99.9% of it came from our games. Because
it's all Dan Mick photography.
Pretty much, yeah. So like I said, Goose was the cover boy of the story, being featured on the main masthead there. And they said he's a phenomenal dribbler with and a willing shooter, and that he's young, having just finished his sophomore year at college, and surely is one to top the emerging talents in the conference. Yes, that is his strength. And last year definitely was our joint top scorer and always an offensive threat. But also often he was criticized by some of the pundits at our level of soccer with his potential liability, on the defensive end. But that is definitely overcast by what he does with the ball. So, he is definitely for sure one to watch from our team that is a returner from last year.
Yeah, he definitely has an attacking mindset. And I remember even at the beginning of the season, you and I were up in the box last year and we're like, God damn, you can tell Goose has been coached into oblivion by these Indiana guys. Like he is living whatever the Indiana system is that he's been told, he's living it, and he's not coming back to help. He's staying in his spot. He's picking his runs, and that's what he feels his job is. So that was something that he was able to adapt to as the season went on, and I think this season he'll start at a better level. But another thing that was worrisome with me that they pointed out on 55-1 is anytime he spent a little too long on the ball, he found himself hacked and knocked down just as often as he found space. So I have to think that some of the new signings will relieve that pressure on him and maybe give the Birdman some more time to fly.
Yes, I would completely agree with you. I think that, he's 19 years old. So a lot of any criticism we might have on the system he was playing at Indiana or his propensity to focus more on the offensive side of the ball than the defensive side.
He's just doing what he's told.
He's doing what he's told, and he's gonna grow either out of that or learn from it. Mm-hmm. And I think what you did see that wasn't mentioned is when he did lose the ball and it wasn't due to being fouled, he fought to win it back. It was more from a defensive side of the ball where he'd be like bombing forward on a 40-yard run and not really having the full tank after to come back and track back another 40 yards. So I don't want it to sound like the dude's a defensive liability. He'll put the work in, but I think my challenge to him this season would be pick and choose those times when you go and when you don't go, so that you're fresher to be able to be more of a complete player. And again, he's only 19 years old, so it's going to come. And I thought we were going to lose him to the PDL this year, but I'm super happy that he's back because he adds something that we don't have a lot of. And like you said, some of the other signings will be, they'll be able to help us. But hats off to what he can do with the ball. But our next signing that they mentioned was the addition of Shea Bottom from St. Thomas.
Maybe one of those other crows that might be able to help Goose find some space.
Right, exactly, with what he does. And I think, I don't think we need to go too far into Shea. If listeners to this show want more information on him, just cycle back a couple weeks and when we made his official announcement, and you can get the majority of what to expect from Shea. But it's easy for fans and neutral observers to get excited because he was a multiple time All-American, and last year was the Division III Player of the Year, and had MLS and USL trials that were successful, but did choose to come back for reasons of starting a life that didn't focus around soccer. So yes, if you're looking at the list of that, and we'll get into some of the other teams and the players they brought on, a lot of familiar names and not a lot of new players.
Yeah.
But if you're solely focusing on new people to the conference to watch, absolutely, he is one to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, how can you not get excited for him? How can you not be anticipating his debut, his NPSL debut? I guess time will tell. Like we've said, could go either way, but all signs are pointing to Shea being the same type of dominant force in the league that he was in Division III. Now, if you want to know who Coach Pribsy is excited for, he is looking to, he's excited about the Brown brothers. He's feeling that they are both re-energized. And if you follow either of them on Instagram, you'll know that they've had an off-season long competition where they're challenging each other every day to be better, to work out, to beat each other, in reps or sprints or whatever, which is pretty exciting. He's looking to the Maxes, both Max Kent and Max Stigwart. He's looking to Hutt, Juan Luis, and McGarity. Now, one thing that sticks out to me of all these guys that he has spotlit is that there are a lot of attacking players, John. Seems like the Pribbler is looking for a lot of his attackers this year.
Yes, well, it's not a shocker if you followed us last year that we had probably the stingiest defense, and if you take a couple fluke goals out of it, the stingiest defense in the league. So we didn't really need to go outside and bring in more defenders. I mean, if you think about who we brought in from a defensive standpoint, really the focal point there is Miles Norville, who joined us through the Open Cup process, who's a fantastic player. And then the retention of being able to bring Trey back. The rest of the back line is relatively the same, and because we don't necessarily need any more players. I mean, you have Nick Hines, Abdallah Ba, Charlie, Ao, Max Kent, Trey, and we didn't need to increase there. What we needed to increase was how we create chances and how we finish those chances. So it's definitely, let's get some people who can do that, and that's what we did, and that's why Adam is excited for that, because now he has another set of exotic cars in the garage that he can go to when he needs a goal.
So who else did 55-1 outline around the league as players to watch? I can probably guess his Duluth choice.
Yeah, so I'll fly through these pretty quick. Like I said before, a lot of names we've heard before, and a couple new ones. So I think they went in order of how they think the league will. They definitely didn't go in alphabetical order.
No.
So we'll see here. But they started off with Duluth, and the first one was Kyle Farrar, who they're dubbing the lower division Drogba, which I think is actually a very good analogy. And obviously Drogba had a fantastic soccer career. So, I mean, if I were Kyle, I would definitely take that with the tip of the cap. But we know what he can do. He scores goals. He's been known to be an occasional dick on the field. We saw him get sent off a couple times last season. So but what he does well is that back to the goal. He holds the play up. He's willing to get rid of the ball, but when he has an opportunity, he fucking finishes it. And he's always dangerous whenever he touches the ball, whether it's going to goal or it's passing. So he's one that you definitely have to look at from a Duluth standpoint. The other that they focused on was Ryan Trier. As noted in the article, Duluth's been kind of scouring the country looking for talent. And they managed to find, no surprises here, another big, powerful Englishman. So Trier comes from Northwest College in Wyoming by way of Liverpool, and he joins the club with an eye on using the NPSL as a launching pad for maybe professional soccer dreams.
Yeah.
So good to hear that other clubs are being used as springboards in our division. You kind of focus on ours because we've had players move on, but it's good to hear that other clubs, even if you hate Duluth, are doing something similar and bringing in better talent. But he was a National Junior College All-American, Region 9 first team, Region 9 Defender of the Year honors. And there's no doubting his ability. And I think that, love him or hate him, Goonie Ben Hall last year in the back line was he definitely squashed out attack, whether legally or illegally. But adding another big, tall, quality defender alongside of him can only make them better.
Yeah, this signing kind of sucks for us. First of all, I was looking at the tweet from when someone said, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if all the teams did trading cards?" And I was like, I'm not trying to collect Google Bentall, and I didn't realize that my phone had autocorrected. So now I want to call him Google Bentall forever. But anyway, this sucks for us, this Ryan Trier signing, because not only is he a big dude, but he's got that same Englishman asshole attitude. You know he's going to show up with a chip on his shoulder, play as dirty as fucking possible until he gets a yellow card. Just like walk that line, just like Duluth had all season. But this is the guy that made me want to raise the question that was almost raised earlier in the show. What is with these like tiny colleges in the middle of nowhere, America, signing or finding these English dropouts, basically?
Well, it's interesting that you note that. So
why would he go there?
What I know from history and being in the game is that from a European standpoint, the window of opportunity to play at a higher level or to have a springboard in European countries is very small.
Yeah.
So it's basically
if you didn't make it by 19, you're done.
Well, yeah, kind of.
If you're not in an academy.
Well, even if you do latch onto academy, you basically become on a fast track to pro soccer at an early age. Okay. So by 15 years old, you're identified as a talent and you're put into a system. And basically, these players are kind of tossed around and traded around because if they don't perform at 15, they're kind of cast off. And you get a 19-year-old who is quality but isn't with a program like we talked about Siku, who he signed last show, that he was with Leicester City. It didn't work out for him, so he ended up going on to a lower division. Yep. Well, then there's the question: do you want to try to make it in lower division soccer as an academy player, or you want to maybe get an education in the States and try to use that as your springboard?
That's a good answer. Okay.
So you can see that even if you look at the influx of talent in the United States. In the MLS, Jack Harrison at NYFC. I mean, he was a guy who was identified as a fantastic academy product and kind of tossed around the lower level academies, and then came over, had a fantastic 4-year careers at Division I school, and then was in the running for MLS Rookie of the Year. So he used that, like, the coming to the United States, as his window of opportunity and was successful at it. And recently, I think he was signed by Man City and then loaned out. So it worked for him. He found a different path, and I think that's what you see with these kind of middle of nowhere schools, is that these foreign players, they don't really give a shit about where the location is. They're looking at it as a straight, almost business-like transaction to be able, like, you're going to get my services. You're going to give me, a scholarship or, room and board and help me get an education. And I'm just going to play good soccer for you. And you're going to use me and I'm going to use you.
Yeah. So if I'm looking at it through that lens, this makes a little bit of sense that this guy never really stuck, played for Morecambe, played for, one other team, but not, in some other crap like the Saints FC, like nothing big, right?
Right.
Kind of bombed out on the lower league academies, decided I'll come to America. This guy thinks, like you said, I can go to college for a year or two. That's why he's only at a junior college. Mm-hmm. He's going to use Duluth to even further springboard him, because he knows that Duluth is going to be in the U.S. Open Cup and they're going to be in the at least potentially they're going to be in the running for the playoffs, the NPSL playoffs, right?
Right. I mean, they have the selling points from what they did last year. So,
So
I
here's
mean,
here's a good option for him to get noticed, to
Right.
be the next Brendan Bye or whoever that could come out of the NPSL and the American college system and get drafted to the MLS, because he did say in that 55-1 article that they quoted him that he's hopefully looking to make it to the MLS after coming to America. So that makes sense.
And here's the thing, and I don't know what they're doing as an organization, but the selling tools that they have from an organizational standpoint, they should be drawing like 9 guys to 10 guys like this. You know what I mean? Like
they should.
They really should be, and I don't know. Maybe they have. They haven't announced.
I mean,
a
the
full
guy
roster.
lives in Wyoming, so like Duluth is an upgrade.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're right. But I mean, I like I said, I don't know what they're doing as an organization.
Duluth
but
might be an upgrade from Liverpool.
I think we both can agree on that. But like we said, he's given an opportunity. He's got a pedigree from on paper, but we'll see what happens when the ball gets rolled out.
Yeah.
The next group was Med City. It kind of falling in line with the theme of Duluth. They start out with an established player, and that's Ignacio Mila, goes by Iggy. Mm-hmm. He was a standout defender on their very stingy back line. And the sometimes captain of the Naughty Nurses is a really good player on the ball, kind of always willing to throw his body in there into tackles. And he'll surely kind of be help them, solidify that end of the pitch for them for another year. But they also brought in a new player named Claudio Rapito. And Rapito is a striker from Genoa, Italy. Goes 6'3", so another big striker, kind of fitting that mold of Farrar and Jay Johnson. And he finished his freshman year at Grandview University, where he scored 8 goals and had 3 assists in the campaign that brought him second team all conference honors. So I do know that they were kind of lacking that target striker last year. They had the wing play to kind of play off of a target striker, but they just didn't have it. And it looks as if they've made that upgrade with Rapido.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I thought Med City was kind of a fluke last year. They played us well. We ended up beating them at the end of the year when they should have played probably the hardest they had all season. I don't know. They played so well at the beginning of the season against everyone else. I don't really have much to say about these guys other than hopefully they can help the team, but we'll see if they can continue the same pseudo success they had last year.
Sure. So the next is VSLT. These, again, an old player and a new player. So the first one is Ayuk Tembe. Tembe, fast striker, scored against us when we played in our second leg against them at home. He was a late add to the team last year and made like almost an immediate impact finding the back of the net. I mean, I think he scored something like 8 or 9 goals throughout the year, but just kind of hit the ground running. He offers something different than what VSLT has kind of typically had up top before he joined the team. And now, I'm interested to see what he can do when he's no longer the new kid on the block and see if he can produce being more of a marked man than kind of being, the flash in the pan new guy.
Yeah, I think he's still going to tear ass on the field. He surprised us. He posterized us when he played us at home. I think he's going to be great.
But what if you kind of harken back to that game, he immediately made an impact, and then our defense course corrected against them, and then he was equalized for the rest of the game until he was subbed out.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's where I'm thinking, like, can he do it for a full year against teams that are beefing up their defense because they now know what to expect from a guy like him or a guy like Farrar. Or Jay Johnson. So we'll see. We'll see what Ayuk can do. The next player is Zuhair Al-Abbasi, a defected player from the Dakota Fusion to the cities this year. Actually had flirted with the idea of joining us before deciding to go to VSLT for what I kind of believe it was a chance at more guaranteed minutes without having to kind of fight for playing time. He definitely would have had to here being a wing player behind returners and then some of the new signings we brought on. So not quite sure, but that's kind of where my head goes with his kind of decision to stick and latch on with VSLT. But he possesses speed and the ability to break up a defender down 1v1 from the wide parts of the field. He was a member of the NPSL showcase this past year and didn't really feature much in the matches that both Trey and Miles played in. And I'll personally be interested in seeing what he can do in a new setup and no longer being deployed as a 10 where the Fusion had him last year. Because I think he was really slotted clearly out of a position. And now he's a wing player where he really should be. So we'll kind of see what he does there.
Yeah, this is interesting to me. It's the second player that I know of that VSLT has taken from other NPSL North teams, because they also signed, I think they also have Sean Morgan from Duluth, the backup striker from Duluth. They somehow got him to come down here. So I'm not sure what they're telling these guys. I'm not sure what they're... I mean, Juan's a nice dude. Juan really knows kind of what's up. So who knows? Who knows what they're selling them, but here they are.
Right, exactly. So next is Dakota Fusion. To me, it's really the Jay Johnson show, and then the rest of the guys. And like 100. What are those guys' names? The Beljulji brothers. So it's like Jay Johnson and 9 Beljuljis.
That's right. Was that this team?
Yeah. So we all know what he did, and since he joined the team, he was also kind of a late comer to the team. And then, he kind of terrorized the rest of the league, but then was completely equalized by Trey Benhart in his only appearance versus City last summer. So we were the only team he didn't score against.
The other thing is he didn't travel.
He didn't travel, but even when we played him there, he offered,
out.
And we didn't like make a game plan around him. Like Trey just was doing Trey things and just was like, this guy's not going to beat me, and he didn't. So, but the dude scores goals. He's a decent human being, unlike some strikers in the league. And to me, it's a surprise to me that he actually came back to this league. He clearly possesses the skills to play at a level. And he's chosen, I think, to keep this level of soccer in his life and be okay with that while emphasizing on his day job versus soccer as a career. So, I mean, hats off if that's what his decision was. But I was really, really surprised that him winning the Golden Boot last year in the NPSL, that and even doing it in a shortened season, that he wouldn't have drawn eyes to go somewhere else. But, like I said, maybe he wants to focus on life. And I'm also surprised not to see Isaac Kisan on their list, which makes me wonder if he's going to be back next year, or if is it really Jay Johnson casting that big of a shadow that like all the focus is on him.
Yeah, Kisan really tore us up too.
Yeah, that guy's good.
Like it does feel weird to me though that you're right, having won the Golden Boot, being so high profile, that he wouldn't have received any other offers. He wouldn't have been courted by other teams, and he found Fargo the most attractive place to be. So who knows?
So
he might have a family.
He's
got a life there. It's got to be a life decision, right?
Right. To me, it screams from the highest hilltop that that's what it is. So,
dude loves Fargo. What a town!
Dude, hey, I mean, it's like going to the restaurant and every time ordering the same thing, you just it's gonna be what you want. So, not trying something new is sometimes easier. So, anyways, next is the Twin Stars. I think it's no surprise here. Sean Teskey was the number one person they mentioned. The Hartford University shot stopper was one of the few bright spots for the Twin Stars last year. I felt a fantastic all season last year, kept them in many games, including 2 against us. But at some point, I find it hard to believe that he'll stay with the Twin Stars as he gets older and further on. I mean, he's just finished his freshman year at Hartford. Sophomore year. But given his ability and their lack of a consistent backline in front of him, to me, I mean, if I were him, I would be looking at something else. Hopefully he doesn't once again bring his A game against us, because he confused us a little bit with his ability to kind of cover ground and to really make the highlight reel save when he needed to consistently in both our matches.
Yeah, all due respect to our keepers last year, this is the only other goalkeeper in the league that was worth paying attention to. Like, he was, they called him the 55-1 guy called him the De Gea of our league, and it's true. I mean, he made some insane saves. The guy was on his head most of the season. It was great.
Yep. And then there's Kareem Darbaki. So son of club founder Youssef. He seems to be like the Crash Davis of the NPSL, if you know what I'm talking about there. The old Bull Durham reference.
Yep.
Like, I mean, how many years is this guy, and will this guy continue to play in our league? Perhaps forever. Who knows? But Kareem is a dynamic center midfield. He's kind of deployed in the role of do whatever the hell he wants with Twin Stars. But when he's dialed in, is likely one of the most dangerous offensive players in the league. I mean, he can nip you with his one-on-one skills, a high soccer IQ, good passing ability, ability to score from central midfield spots on the field, and seems to, like, to me, really bring his A game only versus us and maybe VSLT. Could possibly toss Duluth in there too. But can he do it versus the rest of the league? Or is he just kind of past caring and only wants to win those matches?
Well, I mean, this might be the origin of why or how Twin Stars approaches the league. Is there are a few teams that Kareem wants to beat, and so there are a few teams that Kareem beats. Otherwise, It's like, meh, whoever wants to show up can show up. I might not even show up.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but take that all aside and, any other on the field or off the field things with he or the people he associates himself with. He's a fantastic soccer player.
Yeah.
And, I worry when he gets the ball. And I know that some of the players on the field that have played with him in the past that now are on our squad, they think the same thing. So who knows, man? Like I said, we don't know what we're going to get. Are we going to get the twice a year A game, or are we going to get the I don't really give a shit, I'm just want to play soccer and I don't care where it is attitude? But we'll see. We'll see. The last two teams in our division, La Crosse and Sioux Falls, they did mention one player for Sioux Falls. I'm going to kind of lump them all together. These are the up in the air teams for me. I don't really want to get into the guy they talked about from Sioux Falls because I don't really know what these organizations are going to actually bring until the ball's rolled out and the whistle blows. So I'll kind of reserve the identifying of players to focus on until they actually prove it. Don't know who's going to be on La Crosse really ever. So not going to spend time there. Sioux Falls has a couple good players that we saw both home and away. But, we'll see who they line up. And I kind of hope for the division's case that they do import players like we were mentioning before, or find better players in the area to kind of clean up their organizational acts this summer. Or it'll kind of only be a matter of time until they vanish into the sunset because it's not sustainable to continue to roll out teams that no one really follows and such a low profile in the area that, they're spending a bunch of money to be mediocre at best. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Sioux Falls, at least getting their coaching staff in order will be a big help. Will be a big help because I know they lost their coach midway last season. They had a player coach probably for the back half of the season. Didn't really work out so well for them. Yeah, Jeff Beck, the guitar player. Eris, on the other hand, they've got a totally different approach. If you're charitable, you can say that the guy is trying to prepare his local high school and junior college kids for soccer at the next level by playing them well above their skill level. Mm-hmm. If you're being realistic, he's just torturing the children of the cross. But who knows? I mean, it's not going to work out well for either of them, I don't think.
There's zero surprises with those two organizations, and it's not to speak ill of the people who run them. It's just we really hope for those of us who are putting in a different level of work or focus on our organizations. We all hope that they get better on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take time. I mean, if Sioux Falls is serious about it, they'll take time. Look at the only reason that Dakota is successful is the influx of money. Right. They've got a ton of cash to flash. They've got facilities. They've got this bus. They've got, what I mean? So Sioux Falls has none of that. Eris has none of that. Otherwise, it's Duluth, where Tim Sass has been doing this thing for a few years, and he's got a pretty good system. Everything around here, everyone's been doing it for a few years, and they've got
Rochester
their own system.
had PDL teams for years.
Yep.
And
but also have money to flash. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just hope that they continue trending in the right direction, Nate.
I agree.
So that is all for this week's show. Thank you, as always, to our sponsor, Summit Brewing. There is a new member of the Summit fleet, Nate, that is out this week. And folks, it is a delicious and refreshing brew called the Lazy Sipper. This crisp set of suds offers a hint of strawberry finish and is ideal for the warm summer day, which we hope comes very, very soon. So head on down to the tap room or your local bar and or liquor store and pick up some today. Although our season has yet to start due to weather, stupid Mother Nature, you can still buy a membership for the season for only $65. For that $65, you get a cool season pass to all city matches this summer, including all upcoming friendlies that actually do get played, NPSL and U23 games, a fancy new membership scarf, and, of course, the vote. So you can say you've had a say in the direction of local soccer. So go on over to mplscitysc.com and purchase 1 or 5 right now. Do you like helping people? Well, we sure do. But helping people sometimes comes at a cost, and we do need your support. If you're looking to align yourselves with a fine group that loves to give back, you are in luck. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that does good on and off the pitch by providing those less fortunate with a safe, reliable place to play the beautiful game. Tax season is over, but it's never too early to start thinking about those deductibles and those donations for next year. So consider giving to the club that loves to give back. If you want to get a hold of us and you haven't blocked us on Twitter yet, we've made it real easy. Send us a note at The People's Pitch or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. Still struggle with that after 70-some shows. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, as always, you can hit up the club at MPLS City SC. That is all for this week. We once again leave you with our house MC and new resident of Sweden, Miles Stockton Willis, a.k.a. Milays, with a track called The Coming Up. I am John, that is Nate, and you are the people. We will see you next week. And you got hoofed.
Poster burning maple weeds, cradle major keys. Thinking back, I've been major since the minor league. So supreme, too much sauce off my olive NMDs. I could staple steez, bend the goat so I get the cheese, never fall. Rake them leaves and make sure every moment gets seized. And everything I see is make believe. Cuff a bad bitch, make her wipe off Maybelline. She wanna F with me, maybe get close data G. Run up data plans, getting A to B like AT&T. Hate me when she's coming, it's the perfect time for me to leave. Patience then is crave, so I'm craving her creatively. Make her breakfast in bed, then have sex instead. One life, live it up. 175 Grey Goose, treated like a sippy cup. 105 on the dash, watch me giddy up. Only one on the bench, still press the city up. No stress from the press, it ain't news, I'm getting paper. Ask for the check first time I see the waiter. Make my own luck, knocking over salt shakers. Every September 4th, should've put in more labor. Yes, flex, get out my lane, we ain't the same. Don't play Red Rover with the train. Lingo rolling off my tongue like a slogan spoken slang. Surely spitting like this token wrote and spoke it in some bangs. I could hang a vampire, highly inspired. Haven't reached this height before, I might get higher. Crew conspires round the campfire, rolling till our hands tired. Rap MacGyver saying sapphire, satire. With the swag, attire you admire. So well put together, no assembly required. Newly hired, still this heat so fire that it gets them fired. Fuck boys thinking that they fresh but expired. Everybody's flawed, that's just life's law. Wonder what life will be like when the ice stop. I'll die any day, cause I'm down for the cost. Do it bigger than the Big Bang, like my name was Rush. Burning bridges with no guts. Tell her open up her jaws and feed her nothing but bare claws. All about my dough, so she want a nut duck. Keep my ducks on the row, on the pond like what? Getting flocks at each show, giving out goosebumps. Playing with her heart, claim she playing spades. Whenever we apart, her brain ain't the same. Tickle her pussy as I tickle her ear hair. More boss than Ross, never been to a career fair. Blood, sweat, tears dripping off my upper lip. On some shit, krillin', chillin', gripping on destructo disc. Go left, go right in life, maybe eat a Twix. Rapping like a silly rabbit, tripping in the tricks. On the come up. Yeah, boy, this the come up. Whole squad about to motherfucking come up.